Hello students, I hope you all are doing well at your homes. You must be taking good care of your health and also your studies. Today I thought of sharing my video on the first chapter of your textbook Flamingo, that is the last lesson by Alphonse Daudet. In the background there is Franco-Prussian War, in which France has lost and Prussians have won. We find the two protagonists in this story, in this fiction, Mr. M. Hamel, who is the teacher of French language, and Franz, who is a very usual, normal student. So in the opening paragraph of this fiction, we see Franz quite reluctant to go to his school because he could not prepare well on participles, the task assigned by his teacher M. Hamel. And M. Hamel today was supposed to ask questions on participles. So Franz, though reluctantly, but went to his school. On the way, he found that there was a big crowd near some boat. People were reading something and they were discussing. He ran to his school because already he was late. To his utmost surprise, there was total silence in the classroom of Mr. M. Hamel, the teacher of French language. The teacher was dressed very well in green coat with frills, as he used to get dressed up during special occasions of inspection or otherwise annual functions. But today he was really dressed up nicely, and he was also surprised to see that there were some adult villagers sitting on the back benches of the class. Anyhow, he entered the class and sat. After some time, Mr. M. Hamel declared that because France has lost in the war against Prussia, from the next day onwards, only German language will be taught in the classes, in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, the two provinces of France. It was like a thunderclap, a great shock to bear for Franz. He did not feel at ease hearing it. He felt very bad and he wondered, looking outside, and he thought, can Prussians enforce German language on birds as well? But anyways, he felt quite bad about it. M. Hamel was totally in full dedication to teach his students whatever knowledge he had. So he started with grammar and asked question on participles. He asked Franz to give reply. Franz could not. He was ashamed. But M. Hamel said that it was not only the fault of Franz of not being able to answer the question, it was also the fault of his parents and Mr. M. Hamel as well, who sometimes had sent him to do their work, putting his class, his learning of French language at stake. Mr. Franz took grammar class. After that, he started with his writing section, followed by the history. He was feeling quite burdened. He was the teacher who dedicated 40 years of his life teaching French language. So from the next day, when French language was not to be taught in the class of his school, he was feeling quite bad about it. We also see that the villagers were sitting at the back of his class just trying to listen to some words of German. Throughout the chapter, we also see the pain in the heart of Franz and the villagers of not being able to learn French with so much efficiency and proficiency as they would have done. Really, they were ashamed of taking their language so light-heartedly, of not paying respect to their language, and from the next day they won't be able to learn it. After taking lecture, at the end we find Mr. M. Hamel with heavy heart wrote "Vive la France" on the board, and with just a gesture made his students move out of the class. In this fiction, we see an underlying thought of paying respect to one's nation, one's language, and also a very beautiful message that it is very important for all of us to take care of what is ours during the time when we have it with us. For example, in this chapter we see that France as well as the adults of Alsace and Lorraine were feeling helpless. They were regretful of not learning their language in a better manner. But now they could not do anything regarding that because from the next day it won't be taught. So this chapter is a beautiful chapter, a beautiful fiction about a teacher who was really very loyal, very dedicated towards his teaching profession. He wanted his students to learn everything about French language. A teacher who was feeling very great pain in his heart of not being able to give whatever knowledge he had of his language, because from next day it won't be taught. And also we find a teacher very helpless, leaving the place after serving it for 40 years. We also see a student for whom always his teacher Mr. M. Hamel appeared to be quite strict one, but because today was the day of last lesson, he really understood the heavy emotions of his teacher, felt very bad, felt very ashamed that he did not learn his language so well, and had a lot of respect for his teacher. So students, now I have just given you the gist of this chapter. Please go through it, and also there are some questions following it in your textbook. Try to solve them. In case of any problem, feel free to contact me and we will discuss the answers in our next video.